Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Boulder Canyon. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of a drive because I'd like to address something that several people have raised as a bit of a concern. So, before we do too much, we're going to have a little bit of a drive around. Now, what I asked you all last week for our weekly question was, whilst I'm using our auto-load trailer, would you like me to speed time up by 30 times, or would you like me to speed time up by 60 times, so that we can more accurately represent the amount of time that passes whilst we're using it? So make it more realistic. So just make the whole process a bit more realistic rather than just magically getting all the timber loaded up instantly. And we had 814 people answer that question. 98 of you said 60 times, and 716 of you said put it on to 30 times. So 30 times speed is the preferred option. As of today, I have not yet got the universal sell points that... I have seen a mod somewhere for universal sell points, so I do know that they exist. So don't worry about that. We will get it in place, even if it means that we've got to actually buy and install 2 sell points in order to be able to sell everything that we want to sell. I will have a universal sell point of some kind here that we can put in, and we will get that established. Now, I just wanted to address one point of concern that has been raised a number of times now. All of the trees that you see around us at the moment are on the parcel of land that we currently own. A lot of people are concerned that we're going to run out of trees. We're not. We don't own just a small chunk of land. The bit that we start with is all of this within this boundary right here. If you see, we own all of that. And at the moment, the bit that we've cut down is from that corner there, just sort of a little area around. Actually, it is heading over towards there, but we've done a little piece here, right? We've got all of that massive bit there going up the hill, plus all of this all the way up through. We've got loads and loads and loads. All of this timber that you can see right here with us at the moment, this is all our timber. We own all of this, right? It's very steep land, and it's certainly not going to be very easy for farming because of the steep hills that are involved. And we may have to do a little bit of leveling work as well in order to get it suitable for ploughing up and stuff. But it's still ours. Look, we got all of this down through here. We're not going to run out of timber. Alright, so that's one thing that we don't need to worry about, is running out of trees. What we do need to worry about is what we want to do next. I'm busy felling trees over there at the moment and working through that. So I'm just going to bring this one back over. We've got a little bit longer before we have to go to sleep for the night. And hang on, let me just bring that one back over there. And then we need to be selling some more stuff. Now, I was talking last week about getting a Hurleyman, and I'm really not getting a lot of love for getting the Hurleyman. One of the arguments against it was that it's a 90 horsepower tractor, and it was felt by some that maybe the trailer that we're going to be pulling is too big for it, and we'd want something significantly bigger. You know, a lorry pulling that would be 400 horsepower, and yes, I agree, a lorry pulling that up the road would need to be 400 horsepower. However, a small tractor could still pull it. I know this for a fact because I've used small tractors in 70 to 80 horsepower range, pulling trailers not that dissimilar to this, fully laden. Not with timber, but with straw, so it's a lighter load. But you wouldn't load this one all the way up. We wouldn't when we were using it. We would sort of partially load it, just to kind of represent that. But I'm still not feeling a lot of love for that vehicle anyway. And it seems to be the main reason is... we've got this. It's got no upgrade options. It's just like that. It doesn't have a front loader on it. So whatever we do, we then have to be very rapidly upgrading it again. So there seems to be little point in getting it. Then if we look through... so yeah, there seems to be little point in getting that one. However, this vent down here I looked at this one previously, right? It's 115 horsepower. I can upgrade the engine for an additional 17,500, and we can go up to 150 horsepower. That's a significant upgrade, right? And it has the availability of a front loader attachment as well. So that does actually speak very strongly for this tractor. Now, some people have said that they like the Fort Script tractor over here. This one does, you know, it's 100 horsepower. It's got front loader attachment. It doesn't have any options to make a more powerful engine, but it does have front loader attachment that we could put on it, possibly. So it's a 100 horsepower tractor there. However, I really don't like these tractors. I just don't like the look of them. And I appreciate that there are people that do like them and think they are quite awesome. But me personally, I'm the one that's having to drive it around. I just don't connect with that tractor in any way, shape, or form, and it wouldn't be very enjoyable for me to use it. So I am vetoing that particular tractor. We do have the Deutz right there as a possibility, but that's 97,000, so it's a bit expensive. So I'm actually leaning very heavily towards this one right now. It starts off with 115 horsepower, which is more than enough to be able to pull the logging trailer. And also, we've got a couple of different options for tires as well. We can put narrows on it when we want for later on. We've got twins. We've got, you know, we got, this tractor is basically the whole package that we would need for all of our basic farming, as well as being able to move the logs. It can have the front loader attachments and everything else that goes with it. So we're looking at, for the basic tractor with a front loader attachment, $77,500. Okay, $77,500 right there. And then we'd also want to be looking at a front loader to go with it. The cheapest one is there. There's $5,400, and a logging fork to go with that, which would be that as another $800. So what did I say? 5,000. So we're looking at another $6,200 on top of that. Go back into here. Front loader attachment. 6,200 onto there would make 72, 73,000, 74,200. So we're looking at 80, sorry. So make 85,000. $85,000. Once we reach 85,000, we can buy that tractor there. That's my target. That one is the perfect all-round tractor. We don't need to go and buy a load more. We can upgrade that one later on. We've got everything that we need with that tractor. Once we bought that tractor, we can then use that one for towing that trailer around, which would kind of be the next plan. Now, we can work until 8 o'clock in the evening, so we've got 1 hour left, so I'm going to cut down some more trees. We've got until... I've chopped all of these up. So we'd be able to get that tractor, and then we can use that just to earn the remaining 30,000 to get the log autoloader, and then we can start using the log autoloader to clear the trees a lot faster. We're still going to have to be chainsawing them up. Once we've done the log autoloader, the next thing we've got to get is the stump grinder to clear the stumps out of here, and a universal sell point. That's the next two items that we got to get. The universal sell point, I've decided, was going to be 100,000. I will look at getting... Probably I'll get the mod ready for our next episode, so you can take a look at what I got in mind for a log autoloader. That's going to come along quite nicely. It'll be very useful for us. And then our next kind of course of action after that is to start getting some new machinery on here so that we can start doing some alternative farming. The first things that we're going to be looking at doing, I think, there's a couple of options. Some people have suggested that I should go straight into sheep and do sheep first, so that I can get the wool and sell off of them, because it's simply a case of going around with a mower and a forage wagon, gathering up grass and feeding the sheep. We can still cut and sell timber whilst we're also feeding our sheep. So it kind of, they go together quite nicely, and we don't have to spend a lot of money. It's not going to be a lot of work. Getting any of the other animals is going to be more work because we need straw to go with them, or we need grains, and that requires combines and all kinds of other upgrades. To do silage bales, that I feel is an acceptable option. We could work to doing silage bales. We've got the... we would need to get a baler, and we'd need to get a wrapper and a rake or something like that. So that is something that we could sort of work towards. But once we got the log autoloader, the next thing that we want to get is the universal sell point. And I was talking last week about, you know, the limitations for selling, whether we should have like a minimum sell amount, something like that, or if it should be only on set days. Most of you agreed with the set amount, so we can only sell it like a trailer load at a time. We would have to have some form of storage here so that we can store things in the meantime, so a silo or something like that in order to be able to store stuff. As far as milk goes, we've got a bit of time before we have to worry about that. So, on to a weekly question. What question are we going to have this week? Now, I was giving this some careful thought. What should I ask you about? And I think, really, because the universal sell point, whatever I do, after I've got the log autoloader and our new tractor, we've spent our 85 grand on that. The universal sell point is the next thing we got to get for 100 grand. So we're going to have to work towards that and get that set up. Once we've got that one done, then our next task, that's the bit where you guys will come in. Because we're getting some of every animal on the map. We haven't yet decided what our targets are going to be for some of every animal, but we do need to do that. So, do we go for the equipment for baling? So we want mowing, baling, and wrapping, and we'd also need, you know, a baler, a mower, a wrapper, and a means of collecting bales in order to move them around. So that would either be an alternative autoload trailer, or the Ursus trailer that picks up 6 bales at a time. Right, how are we doing? It's 7:30. We've still got a little bit more time. Cut down some more trees. Right, hang on a minute. I need to have a bit of a cough and a splutter and a drink. Right. I've coughed and spluttered and drank. So the remaining option, yeah, we'd have to buy that lot. Or we buy a sheep pen and we buy some sheep and we start working on that. I figure that those are our two first options. Now, let's just have a look in here. I know time is ticking by and we should be making better use of this, but we do need to do this and have a look. The basic sheep pasture, the small one, is $65,000. Then we'd have to buy sheep on top of that. I think they're about 5 grand a piece. And then we would also need to buy a mower, and we would also need to buy a wagon in order to be able to pick it up. So a forage wagon of some kind in order to be able to collect up the grass. Or we could do it with a baler. The other option, of course, is to just go with the mower. And we get some kind of mower in here, possibly just a disc bine. That would be a good one just to go for one off with. Or maybe just that one there. That is a 4.3 meter side-mounted mower. So it's a pretty good mower, that one is. And we could also get a rake to go with it. So we go for a cheap rake. It doesn't have to be very big at all. And then a baler in here, which would be that one at 50,000. And a wrapper as well. That one's 54,000, which is ridiculously expensive. This one here is 8,200. That's a lot more like it. So an old cheap rotary wrapper there for round bales. And we can just sell some round bale silage in between doing some more trees. We don't even need to plow up and replant or anything like that. Although that would certainly increase our yields. But we could do it like that just to start off with. So my question for this week is, do I go for our first non-timber related money-making venture? Should it be sheep or should it be bales of silage? So it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below. Let us know which one you want and why. And of course, don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right-hand corner. And as always, if there is anything that you think that I've gotten wrong, or you're not happy that it's realistic enough for you, get into the comments and let me know. I really like hearing your reasoning about it, and why you think certain things aren't realistic and why you think they should be. There is one other thing that I would like to add to, so auto-load will be changing at the 30 times speed. That is the general consensus, everybody wants 30 times speed, and that was almost unanimous, which did surprise. Over 800 votes, and more than 700 said do the 30 times speed. Some of you wanted it slower than that. I don't really feel that it would be right doing it slower than that, because of the amount of time that it would take to load. But I did get a really, really good suggestion, and that was, if we're going to be doing that, and if we're doing this to represent accurately that we have taken the time to, you know, we're fast-forwarding time, just to sort of skip the visual of us loading up the load, we should have the means to load that load. It's very important that we have the means to load that load, because otherwise what are we doing? We're just kind of, you know, we're skipping a step altogether. We don't even have the means to load the load. It doesn't make any sense. This is a very, very valid point, and that's why I was looking just then at the prices. You know, it's late enough. It's 10:02. We're going to get some sleep. It's a very valid point. That's why I was looking at the price of the loader and the log grab, because we'll buy the loader and the log grab and the tractor so that we've got the means to load these logs up. All we'll be doing is skipping that step out by using the autoloader. So I might actually even load up the first trailer manually, just so that we can have a look at it and we can say, yeah, we've done that. We know what it's like. And then from then on, we'll just skip to 30 times speed and we'll do it like that. So let me go here. We're at 8 o'clock in the evening. We want to go 11 hours sleep like that. Skip right through. We've got 7,000 in loan interests. We've got vehicle running costs, property maintenance, and vehicle leasing costs. So we've got a few different costs and stuff involved. That's okay. That's absolutely fine. We're down to $800. What we need to do today, though, is we need to get from $800 up to $85,000. Not the easiest thing to do, but I have complete and total confidence in this. So we're just going to leave that one there like that, and we're going to go and get this trader on. We have got a very large amount of timber now that is down on the ground. I found out some interesting stuff from people about this IMT. Apparently, the reason it looks so similar to the Massey Ferguson is because it's made by Massey Ferguson. It was done under license through Massey Ferguson, and Massey made the majority of the parts for it. So, yeah, it was all done sort of under license through them, which is why, you know, this tractor looks so familiar to me, having spent my time driving a Massey. Which is really cool to know, actually. I had no idea about that, so I was quite pleased to find out little bits of information like that. I'm getting people telling me all sorts of stuff about the history of different tractors and that in the countries that they come from. I read all of these comments, and I do genuinely enjoy reading them. They are very, very interesting to read. Right, we want to go on a little bit further over here, and we'll grab some more. We've got more trees to cut down. I'm going to pick up all the timber that we've got on the ground first, though, because you never know. We may have $85,000 worth on the floor. And if we do, I don't want to pick up more than I've absolutely got to. If I can get to my 85,000... Well, actually, we want more than 85,000. Because we're going to need another, I think, about 30 grand in order to be able to get the trailer that we're after with our new tractor. But what I was sort of thinking is that the new tractor, the first thing we do is we get the new tractor back here and we'll swap them over. So the new tractor is pulling this trailer rather than the IMT. It's just going to move things along a little tiny bit faster than it is moving right now. Because I mean, for the most part, the IMT is perfect. It does everything that we need it to do. It doesn't go further than it needs to. It's only when it goes in there that it slows down a bit and it's on that little hill. That's the only bit that it really struggles with. But we're going to need about $100,000 before we can significantly step things up at all on here. So we're going to be doing some hard logging for a couple of days just to be able to get that. I think that's okay. I do think that's okay. The log skid idea was alright, but it didn't work very well. One person suggested that I lift the log up in the air in order to cut it. That doesn't work. You can't use the chainsaw anywhere on land you don't own. I'll give you a quick demonstration of that one. It won't even let you pull chainsaw out. Right, I own the chainsaw right here. I think it does let you. Right, I pull the chainsaw out here. You don't have access to this land, and it will do that regardless of where your log is. It doesn't matter if it's floating or right down on the ground. It makes no difference whatsoever. It just doesn't like you to use it at all. It won't do it. It won't accept it. You just get that message coming up to say, nope, can't do it. Please go and try elsewhere. So we will quickly load up what we can on this load, and then we will whiz off up to the sawmill and get this little lot loaded. Right, I think that is... How are we doing? We could probably put a little bit more in the back of that. So we'll go up this way a little bit, and we'll chuck a couple more logs in on the back up here. Right there. Here it is. Right, now we'll... There, if I bring that one into... No, that's not going to work, actually. Right. Bring that there, and then drop it in on that end like that. And then do another one the same, like that. Is that one going to roll off? It might. Oops, there. Right. It might roll off, it might not, it might stay. What I need to do is I need to be very careful of tree stumps if I'm pulling my trailer out this way. We need to try and get onto the road as rapidly as we can without getting too close to that. There. A little bit of a wiggle on all the way through, and we're out onto the road. Right, we've got a piece of timber out here which we dropped. I'm sure that was a marker or... Oh, no, I was using it for pushing trees over, wasn't I? Well, I'm no longer using it for pushing trees over. Let us head up towards the sawmill, and we will get this first load unloaded. Some people are a bit concerned that we're going to spend too long trying to get everything, and moving on to kind of the next step. And then once we get... If we do go for an auto loader, it's just going to be ridiculously quick. I used an autoloader in the one in FS19. Didn't like speed time up or anything like that. Trust me, you've still got to cut the trees down. You still got to strip them clean. It still takes a significant amount of time. But the time we built up to getting the autoloader, you're going to be ready for a change of pace with what we're doing anyway. This is the only point where we really slow down. The rest of it is doing all right. I mean, the other tractor will be faster. The Fendt tractor, I think it's a Fendt. Yeah, it is a Fendt we're going for. It will be faster than this one, so there'll be some improvements there. I don't know how much of an improvement. Right, so we go there, 2,700. First load done. That was smaller pieces of wood there. When we get the bigger, thicker pieces, we go up to almost 5 grand sometimes. I don't think the price of the wood changes. I've had people on the Discord. Don't forget to join our Discord channel, by the way. If you haven't checked out the Discord, come along and have a look. It's absolutely awesome. We have a lot of fun on there. Even if it's just to look in, say hi, and then disappear off again. We do have a lot of fun in there on our Discord. And somebody on there, Patrio Graysmark, he did a long test. I think it was Patrio that did it. Did a load of testing on the logs, the length of the logs, and be a little bit careful doing things like that. Length of logs and what you can get for them and how much you get for them and so on. And it would appear that we're looking at, I think what he said was between 6 and 10 meters again, was it? Honestly, I can't remember. I'm really sorry, Patrio, but I don't actually fully remember what the overall was. I think it was between 6 and 10 meters. Anywhere from 6 to 10 meters is your optimal length. And essentially what we want to do, so you don't have to worry about it too much. When you're chopping a tree down, if it's a great big tree, chop it into 3 bits. If it's a medium-sized tree, sort of those there, chop them in half. That taller one over there, chop it into 3. You're not really going to go too far wrong. You do get a bit of a penalty for going over or under the lengths, but it's not sort of hugely significant unless you're going a long way over or under the lengths, and which we wouldn't be doing anyway. So long as we sort of stay roughly within those guidelines, we will be all right, and we'll make a reasonable amount of money on it as well, which is kind of the whole point of this. We do want to make a reasonable amount of money. So once we get the auto-loader going, it's going to be a simple case of cutting the tree in half or into 3 pieces. The very small ones, we'll leave them as they are. Right, that one there, I need to chop that up. Hang on. That one I can pick up. I got 1 log there I've got to cut in half. Dump you into there. That one there, chop you in half like that. There, perfect. Dump you into the trailer. And again, dump you in there. Right, how are we doing? I got a lot of room left in this trailer. Pick up these few over here. Right, the thing is stacking them. Right, stacking is where it starts to get a little bit messy. A few people suggested trying to use the crane arm to perhaps load some bigger logs into the trailer rather than just sticking with these smaller logs. I think that this is going to be the fastest way that we're going to get our money, is just having short logs like this and dumping them in quickly. If we've got a whole load of them on the ground at the moment, if I can just keep chucking these logs into the trailer and then whizzing back over to the mill, getting them unloaded, come back over and do it again, I think this is going to be by far the quickest way of doing it. I'm very interested to find out what you think is going to be the best approach to making money. Once we've got our auto-load trailer, remember, we do have to spend 100,000 on a universal sell point. That's got to be the first purchase that we make. We're not going to be able to get anything else before then. If we want to have hired help here, we're going to need to provide accommodation. Some people are saying that, well, we shouldn't need to provide accommodation. We'd be absolutely fine. But my counter-argument to that is we are literally in the middle of nowhere. Right, we've got a few people that work at the sawmill, but they're up here to work at the sawmill, not to come and work for us over here. So it's unlikely that they would be free to come and work for us. Therefore, I would argue that we would need to provide some form of accommodation, and you know, people are going to expect a bit more than the tent that we're currently living in. It has been mentioned that we ought to have something better than a tent to live in. And yeah, I'd go along with that. Something better than a tent would be nice. If we look in here, unfortunately, one thing that we can't do is get the farmhouse and the tent at the same time, I don't think. There's a trailer mod that we can get. I don't think I've actually got it at the moment, but no, what we can do is under miscellaneous. As several people were saying that it's not under miscellaneous at all, it's under something else. I do want the vehicle workshop. That'll be something that we do get so that we can repair our own machinery. We've got solar panels right here. It's $500 an hour income from 150,000 outlay. So it's going to take quite a while to earn that money back, which is good. That's what you'd expect. So those are something that I'm seriously considering using later, and I'd like your views and opinions on whether or not that we should be using those or not. I personally think that, 100,000, getting 250 back per hour, you're looking at 10 hours to get 2,500. So 20 hours to get 5,000. Times that by 20, that's 400 hours, which is a lot of days in order to get back your initial investment. So it does sort of make sense. It does sort of tie in with your returns you'd expect over a long long period investment in order to be able to get those things back. We've got the farm barn there. We've got the farm hut. farm shacks. We've got the farm trailer right there. That one there would be the kind of thing you'd expect for lodgings. Yeah, the roof looks a bit rickety, but overall I think it would be pretty good. I've stayed in worse places than that, trust me. But, you know, if we had one of those, that would comfortably house... I don't think I can click and look close up. If we had one of them, that would comfortably house a number of employees. You'd probably say that would house 3 employees. So, 25,000 investment on that in order to be allowed to use employees. A lot of people said they really liked that idea. That is something that that you do feel that I should do. I didn't have very many people saying that they didn't want me to do that. Almost everybody said that the housing should be in place for workers before I'm allowed to use them. Some people did say they don't think I should be using workers at all. On that point, you're going to be disappointed. I do intend to use workers for doing some of the stuff because I mean, it's like when we're doing this here, I don't think that it's adding to the challenge. Like this here, this is like building up our initial cash, right? It does take a little while to do this. But I don't think that having some... I don't think having to do like all of the cultivating of a field on our own is adding to the complexity of the challenge when we could hire some help to come along and do it for us. You know, we can have hired help working in the field, we can do things as well, and you've got some additional income there. And if we've already gone and forked out some, you are paying for the hired help, and that is a very realistic thing anyway. I don't, even the smallest farms I know will take on extra people to help them with various tasks. So I don't feel that refusing to have hired help on the farm is a realistic approach to it. I don't know any farm that has never taken on employees, even on a temporary basis. And it's not like we'd have someone there all the time. We'd have accommodation that people could stay in, but it would still be kind of a seasonal type approach. It can still be an agency staff type approach. It's just that, you know, if we take on agency staff, they've got to come a bit further in order to be able to come and work for us, which means that they've got to go... it's going to take them a little bit longer to get here and then a little bit longer to go home again. And that's essentially all it is. But, you know, that's the life of agency staff. Some of them do have to travel a fair way in order to be able to do something. And I know plenty of agency staff that would go and work in places, remote places like this, purely because they're remote. And they sort of, you know, combine the work with the experience of being in a remote place. I know people personally that do that, and do that on a regular basis. So I don't feel that using hired help is unrealistic in any way, shape or form. So on that particular point, that's my counter-argument to it not being overly realistic and that I should do it myself. I don't think I should. I think that using a hired help is a realistic approach. Maybe, you know, we're not going to spend the entire time watching our vehicle move up and down the field, but I'm still going to do that as well, because you know, the hired help in the game is just able to get it a little bit more accurate than what I can, which I'm quite happy to accept. But also, it's nice to just be able to sit back and watch them every now and then. Just to let them get on with their work and just enjoy watching the vehicle working in the field. It is a nice thing to be able to do, and it's one of the great things about the game is that you can do that. So yeah, that's another reason that I want to be able to keep the hired help in the game. I'm gonna chainsaw that tip off there. Didn't actually expect that piece to stay, to be honest. Right. Move that up there a little bit, and I'll chop that one off there. Bring you over here. There is a beta out at the moment for 1.3 patch for Farming Simulator. Once it's fully tested and fully released, I will update the game. Hopefully, none of the mods that we're using are going to be seriously affected by it, because that's my main concern whenever a new big update comes out, is the mods are going to struggle with it. Not all the mods do, but we know that some of the mods do occasionally struggle with a new big update, and then you have all kinds of issues. At the moment, for our game right here, we have $7,000. We've done 2 loads and we've reached 7,000. We are going, it's going to take us a while to reach that target 100,000 in order to get the log autoloader. I am wondering if we should go for the autoloader first, and maybe, because the actual trailer itself we can pull with a 35 horsepower tractor. Right, and this one, I haven't altered it again. I've left it at 35 horsepower, and it's 50 horsepower in-game, but it's essentially pulling now like a 35 horsepower tractor would. I know for a fact that an empty trailer or an almost empty articulated trailer, like the log autoload trailer is, can be pulled around by a 35 horsepower tractor, because I've seen it done myself. This is not something that I'm just sort of abusing game mechanics. I have seen it done myself. So what we could do is we could go for 30 grand, and we could go and get that trailer and the dolly, and then we could load up, say, 3 or 4 trees, and then do it like that. However, the only issue with that, actually no, because we could say that we're using the crane auto load in order to be able to load those logs onto it. So that would be sort of the way round that. And then we're kind of covering everything that we said that we were going to do. No, we've got the log auto load. That's working. And we've got an ability, we've got a way of loading logs into the trailer, even if we're not actually using it and we're just bypassing it by using the auto load. And that way we're not cheating, we're just speeding it up, which is different. You know, cheating would be doing something that we wouldn't be able to do in the game normally, whereas just speeding it up is essentially just doing what we can do in the game, but doing it faster than we would otherwise be able to do. And I do think that there is a distinction between that. It's a bit like getting a mod to add money into the game. You're essentially cutting a corner. You're not doing something that the base game is unable to do in any way, shape, or form. All you're doing is adding an additional... you're speeding it up. You know, you are able to go and earn money. There are ways to go and earn money in the game. But if your idea of a good time playing Farming Simulator is to have a big farm with big machinery, the idea of starting out and then building up to that point is not necessarily your idea of a good time at all. And I know plenty of people like that. And so all you're doing is cutting out the bit that you don't want to do, so that you can then spend many, many happy hours doing the bit that you do want to do. And that, I feel, is what we're doing with the auto loader. All we're doing is speeding it up a little bit, rather than actually, you know, abusing a cheat and doing something that would not be able to do. So we've got the X lifter. Would we be able to put 2 or 3 pieces of timber onto that trailer and then drag it around with this tractor? I honestly don't know. Right, I don't know. I think that might be pushing what this tractor could do, to be honest. I know this tractor would be able to pull that trailer when empty. I've seen that happen before. I've seen small trailers like that, small tractors like this one, pulling large trailers like that. Is whether or not we would be able to put some timber in there and still move it. That's the bit that I'm not so sure about. At the moment, I'm gonna say probably not. Keep falling so that we're not doing these right there. I'm gonna put that one down there, but this one branch right here, it keeps falling off. Right, let me lift you up there. If I walk back this way, and then there. I keep forgetting we can rotate stuff. Right. Drop you... There we go. That's better. Right. Now you're loaded. Hopefully you'll stay there. And we're going to take this load up and we will sell it. And then we're going to be just about run out of time. I think we'll have time to go back and start loading the next load. But we're kind of getting a good idea of what we're up against. If we're going to be trying to earn $100,000 so that we got our tractor with a front loader, the good thing about it is that that tractor is the last tractor we're going to need for a little while. All right, we've got a small tractor here that we could use for assisting with some cultivation jobs and things like that. And then we've got a main tractor on the farm, which is still a second-hand looking tractor, which is kind of good. That is something that we want. And we're able to use that one to... Ooh, slowing down a lot. We'll be able to use that one to do just about everything that we want to do for the foreseeable future. Once we get the auto load, it is going to be fast to earn our money, but we've then still got to go and earn another $100,000 in order to get the sell point placed down and ready. And then we've also got to get the machinery that we want, or get the sheep in place, depending which one you say you want me to go for. Definitely it looks like getting just the machinery and doing the baling and silage to start with would certainly be cheaper than a sheep. But I do think that the sheep should follow. If we do the silage first, I think the sheep should follow along very shortly afterwards. I think it would be foolish not to, because then we're starting to build up our first collection of animals, and those animals are very, very easy to take care of. We wouldn't need to worry about them too much. Right, we'll just get back over and we'll start loading this all back up again. And then, that's going to be about it for today. 11,000. We're over 10% of the way. Now, the other big concern was if I'm speeding things up to 30 times speed, I'm going to be going through the night too many times. And I'm going to be hitting our interest rates. And we know that we've already increased the interest rate, so this is going to be something that could get a little bit pricey. And I understand that this would be a concern. I do understand that, because, you know, it's basically, we're then going to be in a situation where we're unnecessarily forking out money overnight constantly, and it's just going to slow things down. Rather than being a challenge, all it is just sort of slowing stuff down, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do it like that. I think we'll be all right with the auto load. You know, speed 30 times speed. It is speeding it up a bit, and I was talking about maybe we'll use 30 times speed from the moment we start loading. So we hitch a trailer on, we get it into the field. From the moment we start loading until we've unloaded, we leave it on 30 times speed. We'll get an idea of how long it'll take to load when we can have a little bit of a play around with the tractor and the loader and the log grab and stuff. So we can get a bit of an idea on this and get a feel for it before we commit too much to exactly the fine details of how we're going to do it. And I do think that we need to get established just, you know, what bits is going to do what and where and how. But I think it'll be all right. I think we'll end up being... I do think that we're going to be okay with that. I don't think we're going to do anything that is going to be too much for any... Well, I'm hoping that we you know, this 30 times speed thing anyway is going to be something that will keep the majority of people happy. I certainly really like it, and I did get the strong impression from the comment section that this is a really, really good compromise that a lot of you are very happy with, because it's sort of it does make a lot of sense. You know, we're using this auto load trailer in order to speed things up. I really did like the suggestion where we have to have... I can't remember who made it, so I'm really sorry. Whoever made it, I'm really sorry. But I did think that was a fantastic suggestion about using the... having to own the means to load the trailer. So we can use auto load, so long as we have the means to load the trailer. So, like bales, we can use auto-load so long as we have the means to load the bales. If we're going to auto-load silage bales straight off the field, and we're not going to worry about loading them up manually onto a trailer, we need to have the silage bales squeeze along with a loader at the very least, so that we can say, yes, we are loading them onto a trailer manually. We're just doing it a bit faster, and therefore you don't actually see that bit. And yeah, I think that is a fantastic idea. So my vote for this week is, my weekly question for this week, rather, is what would you like me to do first? We've still got quite a bit to do, but once we've achieved the next couple of targets, which is a tractor and then an auto-load trailer, and then we have paid for and set up our universal sell point so that we can sell everything. That's going to be another $100,000. Once we've done all of that and we've set everything up and it's all in place, what do we do first? What is our first major task that we do here on this map that is not logging related? Should we buy a sheep pen and buy some sheep and concentrate on building up some sheep straight away? Or should we go for we will have to clear all of the tree stumps out of this area anyway. Or should we go for making some silage bales? Make silage bales and then sell them at the universal sell point, and do that, you know, maybe a couple crops of that in between doing a bit more timber in order to build up the money, and then go for sheep second. So we'll do one and then we'll do the other, but which one do you want me to do first? So it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which one you want and why, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. At the very beginning of our next episode, we will unload this load, just getting up to the mill. So if you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give me a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.